Hey everybody. So today we're answering a question from a teacher in Portland. She says, I want to do more hands-on projects, but I struggle with keeping the class in control. How do I integrate more PBL in my classroom without it becoming a headache or kids absolutely melting down? And I love this question because hands-on learning is the best type of instructional design for our ND kiddos, but it is really intimidating. It could be total chaos if we don't set it up right. So I want to dig into the two styles of instruction that we see typically, coverage-based and inquiry-based, which is the project-based learning I was talking about. So whether your students are navigating ADHD, autism, anxiety, or sensory processing differences, the structure of your instruction will determine if they can engage and keep up in the project-based work or spin them into a meltdown. We're going to break it down together and explore 3 clear, actionable strategies you can use to find the right balance. And by the way, everything I'm going to talk about today connects directly with the Neurodivergent Toolkit, which gives you the scaffolds, instructional supports, visuals, templates, and environmental designs that make these strategies work. And right now, if you grab the toolkit, we're giving you a free copy of our brand new Higher Order Thinking Activities ebook. And I'll tell you more about that in a bit. So strategy 1, blend structure with student voice. When it comes to this, we have to think and talk about balance. Inquiry-based learning is incredible when it comes to student engagement. It taps into interest, strengths, and gives students a sense of control. But for neurodivergent learners, too much open-endedness can be really, really overwhelming. You want to give students voice within a predictable structure. For example, you could start with a short teacher-led mini lesson, which is coverage, using the instructional supports in the instruction section of the Neurodivergent Toolkit, and then offer choice in how students explore the concept, maybe through creating a model, a research presentation, or a creative project like writing lyrics, creating a YouTube video, or a comic strip. It doesn't have to be crazy, but one of the easiest way to offer choice is in the product that they give you that proves their learning. In the Hot Activities ebook, that's the book we're giving away free right now, there's an activity called Authentic Choice Boards. It is a board of options that students can pick from to demonstrate what they've learned. So choice boards honor their autonomy, and in the ebook, there are planning questions that help keep students on track and helps provide that scaffolding that they need. This pairs well with the checklist and the flowcharts in the instruction section of the NB Toolkit. So if you have the toolkit, revisit that section while you are designing these PBL lessons. So when providing choice, you want to give them structured choices with a tool that keeps them on track. This reduces their executive load and anxiety. Strategy 2, scaffold inquiry to reduce overload. Many NB students struggle with executive functioning. That means that just telling them to go research something and present it next week gives them a heart attack. And it creates a lot of confusion. So instead, think scaffold inquiry. Break things down to mini deadlines, provide visual supports. In the appendix of the Neurodivergent Toolkit, there are a ton of visuals. It's going to help you present an example and a non-example also. So you definitely want to present an example and a non-example of what you are looking for. And this is going to help the students understand, okay, what does the teacher want? What do I want? And how can I combine what the teacher wants and what I want to do so that it is the product that the teacher is expecting, or that it is the product that is going to make me as a student, as a learner, feel good about what I just spent, 2 weeks of my time on, right? So you want to present an example and a non-example. You also want to make sure that you are having discussions with the students about the example and the non-example. And there are a ton of discussion activities in that ebook. The more support you front load, the more you can actually engage your students in higher order thinking. So definitely check out the ebook because we laid out typical barriers and how to adapt projects to your students' sensory needs, their social emotional regulation, and their processing style. If you struggle with identifying what supports you should be putting in place, or where you should be putting your supports in place. Then strategy 3, use predictable routines without getting too rigid. So we can't throw out coverage-based instruction. It is definitely necessary, sometimes for every style of learner. However, the majority of students learning should be acting on the content and knowledge, and this can lead to a lot of interrupted routines. So PBL can lead to a lot of interrupted routines. And that's kind of where we get the chaos and the anxiety, especially if you are just starting out with this approach. So here's what you want to do. You want to look at the lesson or the unit you're planning and think, okay, what routines can I create? What is happening over and over again that I could routine it? Typically, you want the routine to be the heaviest at the beginning and end of each activity. That cues the brain that it is starting this style of learning, and it cues the brain when it is ending. I always started each class with, what do you remember doing last class? This was for 2 reasons. One, it was simple, I could remember it, and it cued the brain into, hey, we're starting with Miss Wheaton. In Miss Wheaton's class, we typically do X, Y, and Z. I engage in class by doing A, B, and C. That cue signals the brain to start firing in the areas you need it to. Second, it starts firing the brain to get it into like the way of thinking that they typically use for when they're with you and when they're in your room, because not every teacher is the same, right? Every teacher has different styles of teaching and has different expectations and different ways of working with the material and moving around the space. But cueing the brain also makes it easier for the students to remember what you're about to teach them, because it is firing a part of the brain that already has stored knowledge. And knowledge, when it's connected to previous knowledge, connects, those neurons connect, or those neural pathways connect easier, faster, and that information is going to be retained easier and faster than if you just cold presented the information with no, like, hey, what do you remember doing? Have you heard this word before? What do you know about X, Y, and Z? That is why we always talk about how is this connecting to previous knowledge, because it connects easier and faster in the brain and is retained better. So the end routine I always used was share what you did. You can share what you learned about, share what you created, share something that was difficult or something that was easy. We always shared at the end. It was share time, then clean up. My students knew that. It cued the brain that, okay, this is ending. I'm about to transition, and it makes set shifting so much easier for neurodivergent kids, because the neurodivergent brain tends to struggle with transitioning, which is what's called set shifting, when the brain has to shift what it's doing and use like a completely different area of the brain. If you think about, I always think about the brain as like a bunch of gears, right? When you provide them with the supports that they need to set shift, it's like you're lubing up the gears and you're making it so those gears can turn with less noise and less work and energy spent. And that's really what it comes down to, right? Like, we want to make sure that students are spending the most energy interacting, engaging with, talking about, exploring what they're learning. We don't want them to waste energy on switching activities. So clear routine, beginning and end. Start there, get yourself there. Then once you've got those down, then you can create the routines of like inside the actual project. Remember that you can't build, Rome wasn't built in a day, okay? You always have to start simple, start somewhere. Don't try to do too much, you'll overwhelm yourself. So strategy 2, in this like long roundabout way, is make sure that you have routines in place. And if you're starting out with this, just start with the beginning and the end routine. The middle can be chaos. It might be chaos for a little bit.
That's fine. Get the beginning and the end routine down. And then you can structure what's in between, what's sandwiched
in between the beginning and the end.
Okay, so
the third strategy is you want to balance inquiry with coverage. And you can't just have all inquiry approach. You can't just have all coverage approach. That would be terrible. With the inquiry approach, there has to be some type of coverage happening, especially if the entire situation isn't completely open-ended. Students have to be explicitly taught how to do research,
how to ask good questions, how to record the questions and clear up misconceptions.
Which this is all covered in that ebook that we're giving away for free. So with balancing inquiry and coverage, you might have Monday and Tuesday be coverage. And then Wednesday and Thursday is inquiry based, or Wednesday through Friday is inquiry based. And you stick to that schedule, starting the different styles, starting the coverage and the inquiry in two distinct ways, and always ending with a share out or an exit ticket.
The neurodivergent brain loves routines,
even when we say we don't. We have to have routine, or our anxiety goes haywire.
So I call this a hybrid approach with a specific
beginning and ending routine. I will give you
an example of like a balanced approach. And it's
great to ease students into
that open-ended inquiry
that they need,
and that we really want them to be engaging in. Okay, so a balanced inquiry and coverage approach. Let's say you introduce and you do explicit instruction on Monday on a topic, and then you have them record some questions as a class about what are they wondering about that topic that you introduced on Monday. And then Tuesday, they can do that inquiry-based project. We've got 4 or 5. We've got a lot of different project examples and activity examples. Some that don't require any setup at all. They're just like quick activities to do. Say if you're like trying to fill time. So you do an inquiry approach on that Tuesday. So Monday is coverage. You introduce the topic, you explain the topic, and then students start generating some questions or some misconceptions. And then on Tuesday, they take that question and they explore with it. And then on Wednesday, you explicitly teach a mini lesson on how to use Google to research. Right, because you've got it.
We have to teach the kids this stuff. And those lessons, I call them mini lessons on like how to generate questions, how to make sure that a source is credible, how to use the internet safely, how to correct misconceptions and how to record it. We also include inquiry journals and Genius Hour. That is all in that ebook. So I'm telling you, get the ebook. The ebook is fantastic and it's free. Okay, so that's an example of how you could set up like a coverage day and then an inquiry day. Students will know what's coming if you keep to that schedule, but they're also going to be building the independence and the critical thinking.
So definitely check out
if you're designing this and you have the neurodivergent toolkit, definitely check out the organizing the environment section, the question and sentence stems, and the checklist options.
in the neurodivergent toolkit in the appendix section, and this will help you make the entire process a lot more sustainable and a lot more neurodivergent friendly. So inquiry and coverage approach can work together, and when you design both of them, intentionally create clear routines starting with beginning and end, and include the right supports like scaffolds, stems, and visuals. And this is all in the NP toolkit and the ebook.
Your students are going to get the consistency and the autonomy they need. Right now, when you order the neurodivergent toolkit, we're giving you the higher order thinking activities for neurodivergent learners.
It's like over 70 pages.
And it's not. You're going to get it for free. This ebook is the perfect companion to the toolkit. It helps you apply everything we talked about today in practical, engaging ways that support neurodivergent thinkers. So if you are ready to make the shift to more inquiry-based, project-based learning in your classroom, if you're tired of guessing how you should do it or just avoiding it altogether, and you want tools that actually work, come at needs, or head to our website. The link is in my bio. And you have got this. I believe in you.
And together we are
going to build classrooms where neurodivergent learners feel seen, supported, and successful.